Good morning, afternoon, evening, or night, ladies, gentlemen, and otherwise. I am Marcus Future, otherwise known as the Timeline Man, and welcome back to a type of video that I meant to do more this year and haven't. It's because I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to set up how I do these, and I think I've got it figured out now. Because the past two art and stories that I've done have, for those of you who are new here, they haven't exactly been lined up properly. I think the first one I did was the Echo 607 video, which had so much more footage than I did time of me talking, even when I sped it up as much as I felt comfortable doing. And now and then the second one was Kanpai 2024, which this is technically a sequel to. Yeah, I didn't have enough footage for how much I talked. Whoops. But I think I've got it solved now. I've set the speed up for the footage already. I'm actually watching it back right now, and I'm dubbing over it live. So right now I am seeing what you guys should be seeing on the screen, assuming I get the audio and video lined up properly. Who knows? Who knows if I'll do that? This video is one I've actually been debating back and forth on actually making, because, well, assuming the title is what I have in mind for the title right now, which is, Kanpai 2025 was a lot better than the last year for vending. But I'm not going to go back. So here's the thing. I'm not sure how to balance this. I do want to talk about Kanpai 2025 because I think it's a valuable thing for me to talk about, how I experienced that convention. However, I also need to talk about why I'm not going to be going back next year. And to be clear from the start, why I'm not going back next year has little to nothing to do with how the convention was run itself. The people who run the moment to moment of Kanpai Con are good at their jobs, and they're great people, as far as I can tell. So for now, let's just start with how the con went. So first of all, getting in and out was a lot easier. We didn't stay at a hotel this time. We stayed with someone we knew, a friend, and we just so we didn't have to deal with any of the hotel bullshit that I had in the video about Kanpai Con 2024. That's intentional, because I didn't want to. I didn't want to see if it had changed. I wanted to afford to be able to, eat. And that we did as well. We actually managed to be pretty decent about food and had a pretty decent time there. We didn't try to survive off of like stale noodles or anything like that. Granted, like I'm doing this closer to the event actually happening that I did with Kanpai Con 2024, but it's still that happened back in April, May. Was it May this year? I can't remember. It's around Easter, whatever Easter was this year. Spring. You'd think I'd remember, but I don't. I've got a Swiss cheese brain, but it was certainly something there. So there was like a small problem with registration, which was that I never got an email with the QR code for the badge. Apparently this had happened to like 4 other artists, which that sucked, but I managed to find a workaround because of something in with the website itself, so I was able to get my badge and my husband's badge, so we were able to get in easily enough. The only issues from there were just, there weren't really actually. I started that sentence before I knew how to finish it. I didn't really have any more issues with the convention and how things went from there. Friday was a Friday. The 2 booths on either side of me were very interesting this year. I did get a fair bit of chance to talk to them. The one on my left was actually a guy who was running panels during like the whole convention, so he was only there sometimes. He was it was like Grego's game shows. Seems like a pretty alright guy. Got in some interesting conversation, mostly because he wasn't really selling much of anything. I think he was selling like Magic the Gathering singles as like extra cash on the side. Cool. And advertising his services, doing game shows at other conventions. Really neat. Some of them happened in like the ballroom because we were in the hallway. I should preface this. We were in the hallway. We weren't in the artist alley because for some reason hallway was cheaper than being in the artist alley. I felt like that was backwards, personally, because I feel like that puts us in a better position to be seen. But I don't know. I wasn't gonna argue with it. So I got that. And some of his game shows happened in like one of the ballrooms because there was the artist alley, and then there was like I think it was the main events room technically. Is where most of his game show stuff happened, and so I was able to see into the door as as I was happening. They seemed pretty fun. They seemed to have a pretty engaged audience. And then beyond that, the other guy was an author, and I cannot remember his name for the life of me. He was cool though. He had some interesting books. Hopefully, if I remember by the time I make the finished edit of this, I can look up one of the titles and then I can put his name up here. I feel like I should have his business card somewhere too. I feel bad. But he was cool. He had a practiced sales pitch, which I'm realizing I should probably. I probably also do, but I don't feel like I do because I don't practice it on purpose. My sales pitch is usually just for Sunset of the Elements, which I'm really bad at selling that game, mostly because I downplay it as well, which isn't something you should do in a sales pitch, I don't think. But he had this pitch for each of his books, which had very different concepts. Really interesting guy. He apparently, I think he said he was trying to run his own event out in like Iowa, out in like eastern Iowa though, so like kind of a lot further away from me than probably than I'd be willing to travel. Cause I had to do a fair bit of traveling for this one already. So then Friday went okay. I'm trying to remember if there was anything that happened on Friday that was remarkable. I don't think there really was. I kind of don't want to try to account specifics because there isn't too much that there was too specific. It was fairly unremarkable, I think, as a time passage. We did have an interesting circumstance. So one of the things being sold, the two best selling things at the convention were Sunset of the Elements discs and my husband's jewelry. He was selling pride flags as like earrings, and little bead lizard earrings, and I think at one point he started making little like charms, little like clasp charms. Yeah. And so from there, like those were probably the best selling categories of items. The stickers didn't sell particularly well. Hey, just splicing myself in here real quick during editing because I realized I completely lost my own train of thought. I probably should have redone this entire video at some point, if I'm being completely honest. I'm also going to attach, like, a secondary little, like, there's actually a bonus story, because I also realized I completely forgot to tell this at the end. But, point is, right here, the interesting thing that happened is there was one pride flag that my husband didn't make, and that was lesbian flags. Because he didn't have the right colored beads for it, I think was the reason why. And I think we had like 3 lesbians come up and just kind of go like, or 3 people looking for the lesbian flag. I shouldn't say that they were lesbians. They didn't tell us that, I guess, but like, I guess I kind of assumed. But they were looking for the lesbian flag and we're like, sorry, that's like the one that we don't have. So that was the interesting part there, in case you were wondering. I'm just a dumbass. Job. And then as I was talking to some some friends about it there, and then I mentioned ConPyCon. They were like, "Ew," and I was like, "Huh? What do you mean, ew? What's what's wrong with ConPyCon?" And I was like, "Have you looked into the organizer?" And I was like, "I know that it mentioned Ryan Kopf, who is a guy who, to me, is just a guy who got caught by my spam filters last year, and has been sending me emails, usually relating to Japan because he's an organizer for an anime convention." I was like, "That's really cool. I don't really care." So I've ignored him. So it seemed fairly credible, so I decided to look into it, and there's a lot. I would, if you're looking at this video because it says ConPyCon and you know ConPyCon, which I know it's a fairly small convention, so I know things with that title in the things with that in the name of the title are fairly rare around the internet. I would encourage you to look into it. I don't think I have the emotional or mental capacity to fully describe everything that it seems like I've seen. But like the two main things, and I think I should be able to put a card to one of these in the top here, is so he had some very serious and credible sexual assault allegations at previous conventions, which was responded to by the conventions that he helped organize by saying that they weren't involved with him anymore, including Anime Houston, I think. It was a convention down in Texas. Turns out, no, he used a fake name. Like I said, I should be linking the video, hopefully somewhere. If I don't, it'll be really awkward if I don't. But so they said that he wasn't involved, but he used a fake name and then just kind of kept being involved, or something along those lines. If I'm paraphrasing the video, you can go watch it and hopefully understand it a little bit better. And then beyond that, I basically just kind of removed a bunch of people who'd been there doing a lot of jobs for years, which is also awful. Like the several sexual assault allegations were bad enough, but then like also this is it's stacking. Oh, that was bad. This is bad, and it just adds into like a whole lot of. I don't think I want to be involved with this stuff anymore, like at all. And there's like at some level, I am glad that I've gone to ConPyCon before because, well, it gave me a chance at some vending experience at a relatively small scale that allowed me to really understand what it was I wanted to do and what I needed to do to keep going with this. And that's good. But I'm not going again. Because I don't think I could do that knowing what I know now. If I ever find out that he's not involved anymore with this convention, then I'd love to go back. I thought it was a very well run convention. Or if I find out that the people who actually ran the convention, because I should mention, I've gone to ConPyCon 4 times or so, something like that. I vended there twice. I went there 2 or 3 times, so about 4 or 5 times. I never saw this man. I've talked to a lot of staffers amongst various sections of the convention. I've never seen this man. I've seen photos of him. I've never seen him. Not once. So it kind of sucks that it's like, well, I know like the people who actually put this convention together aren't him, but he's involved monetarily, and that counts for something, unfortunately. So I just don't want to be there. I don't really I don't think I blame any vendors who do go there, because at some scale, if you're an independent artist and you make this your life, then yeah, you're going to try to take your business opportunities where you can get them, and KanpaiCon being a relatively affordable convention both for vendors and visitors is an attractive feature. But because I know what I know, and because I have the privilege of having a normal job, I'm not going to keep going. I'm going to find other options. There are a couple other conventions in Omaha. I might finally just actually put together the things I need to vend in Iowa and go to NebCon next year. Maybe. I know they do like a jury system, and my booth is very small, so I don't know. I don't know if they'd even take that. But I'll try. Probably next year. We'll see. If I do get into NebCon, I'll probably be popping off about that all over the place. So that'll be that. But that's really all I have to say. So bonus story time. The other thing that happened that I completely forgot to mention is actually what happened when we came back from the convention. See, we had a friend who their way of transporting their booth actually became non-functional. So they didn't have any way of getting their stuff back home, and we lived in like the same city, so we were heading back in the same direction. And to make matters worse, they were actually helping someone else. I think they were doing like proxy vending. So like the artist wasn't actually there. Their stuff was there, and someone else was selling it for them, if I understood the situation correctly. And so what we had to do from there was we actually took the person they were proxy selling for. Someone else helped get their actual booth home. We took the stuff that they were proxy selling for. They were helping someone proxy sell for. They were at their own booth. Anyway, I don't understand it entirely. I didn't get all the details. But we took this other person's booth, and we had to pack it into, I drove a little Ford Taurus. So we had to pack that all together into one giant, into the car. And so I'm sitting straight up the entire drive home. My husband's in the passenger seat, also sitting directly straight up because there's no more room. There you go. That was honestly probably the most eventful part of the convention. I think I've thrown this in at the end, which is kind of awkward given the way everything else in this video kind of goes. I was a little preoccupied with that, which is probably why I didn't throw this in when I first went through the whole stream of consciousness of recording. So there you go, little bonus duck at the end for you.